Today we are making fresh rhubarb blueberry bread pudding. It's delicious, warm and fresh right out of the oven, or you can top it with some rhubarb blueberry sauce, ice cream, or whipped cream. No matter how you serve it, it's delicious. So let's get baking. Make sure you watch all the way to the end so you don't miss any of my neuronutrition nugget or my simple and smart tip for this recipe. Thank you for clicking the like button and subscribing. Also for helping me reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year, 2023. We are going to start by making the blueberry rhubarb sauce. Into a medium-sized saucepan, we want to put 1.5 cups of fresh blueberries, 1.5 cups of fresh rhubarb, 1/3 of a cup of water. And while that is cooking, go ahead and mix 2 tablespoons of instant clear gel into 2/3 of a cup of sugar. You may not have instant clear gel, and if you don't, that's okay. Instead, use 3 tablespoons of cornstarch and mix it into your sugar. And go ahead and set that aside and cook the blueberries and rhubarb on your medium heat until they are soft. Once they are soft, go ahead and add your sugar thickener mixture into your fruit and stir it to combine. If you've used the cornstarch, you'll want to boil it a little bit until the mixture is nice and thick. The clear gel tends to thicken up quicker. You want a nice thick sauce type consistency like you see here. Go ahead and set that aside, and it's time for our neuronutrition nugget. For today's neuronutrition nugget, we're going to talk about blueberries. Blueberries have multiple substances that are great for the brain, but the one I want to talk about today is a substance that reduces inflammation. Inflammation not only in the body, but as well as the brain. Inflammation in the body can lead to decreased ability to concentrate, to decline in memory, and may even lead to Alzheimer's patients. Multiple studies have shown that by eating a serving of blueberries 2 to 3 times a week, that you can reduce the inflammatory markers that are circulating throughout your brain and your body. Let's make our cream cheese pockets. These are little delicious pockets of sweetened cream cheese within the bread pudding. You're going to start with 4 ounces of cream cheese, add a large egg to that, and 1/4 of a cup of powdered sugar. Take a hand mixer, mix that all together until it's nice and smooth. It will be fairly runny, and that's okay. It will thicken up when the bread pudding is baked. Next, we're going to prepare the milk and egg sugar mixture that we're going to pour over our bread pudding. Beat 6 large eggs together. One and a quarter cup of milk mixed with 1 1/4 cup of half and half. 1 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. A 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt, and beat that all together with your hand mixer. Go ahead and set that aside. For the actual bread pudding itself, I like to use stale bread. Any sort of firm stale bread will work. Italian bread, peasant bread. In this recipe, I'm using challah bread, but you don't have to use challah bread. Here's a tip. If you don't have stale bread, you can go ahead and take a loaf of fresh bread, Put it in the refrigerator for a day or so, and coolness of the refrigerator will actually turn your bread into stale bread. For today's SIS Simple is Smart tip, if you like a thicker rhubarb blueberry bread pudding, bake it in a 9 by 9 inch pan. You may need to bake it about an extra 10, maybe even 15 minutes longer. However, to keep it from over browning, cover your pan with a piece of aluminum foil and enjoy your thick slice of fresh rhubarb blueberry bread pudding. Take a 9 by 13 inch baking pan and grease it lightly. Like to use a spray. Add about half of your challah bread pieces to the bottom of the pan. If you want a thicker bread pudding, go ahead and use a 9 by 9 inch square pan instead of the 9 by 13 inch pan, and you will have a nice thick bread pudding. Once you've added half of your bread to your baking pan, sprinkle that with a half a cup of blueberries and half of the rhubarb. Next, you want to add your cream cheese pockets to the casserole. I use all of the cream cheese in this layer, so just spoon it into the layer in spoonfuls. When the casserole cooks, it will form little pockets of cream cheese. I also add, once you have the cream cheese added, go ahead and use about half of your rhubarb sauce that you made to create little extra pockets of the rhubarb blueberry sauce in the casserole as well. Next, add the rest of your bread to the pan. Sprinkle with the rest of the rhubarb and blueberries. Now it's time to pour that egg half and half mixture over top of the whole casserole. The bread will soak up the eggs and the half and half. Cover your casserole and put it in the overnight. Give the casserole a chance to absorb all of the liquid from the half and half and eggs. The next day, preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Take your casserole out of the fridge. If you want to, you sprinkle about a quarter of a cup of roasted pecans on top. That is optional, and then pop it into the oven to bake it for 50 to 60 minutes. You want to make sure that the center is set. Remove it from the oven, let it cool for about 10 minutes, and then you can slice it into squares. To serve it, I like to heat up the blueberry rhubarb sauce until it's warm and top my squares with warm bluebarb blueberry sauce. For an extra delicious and decadent dessert, you can also add a squirt of whipped cream or some fresh whipped cream. Enjoy your strawberry rhubarb casserole. Thank you for watching. Please click the like button and subscribe. For this recipe or more delicious and healthy recipes, go to my website at growwithdrjonette.com.